Alright, what's going on, everybody? So, last week I finally decided to watch Vinland Saga, and I know I'm 2 years late saying this, but this show was amazing. I regret not watching this show when it came out back in 2019. I was very hesitant to watch this show due to it focusing on Vikings and being a historical anime. I'm not a fan of those things, so I initially thought that it might be boring and a bit uninteresting, and the art style, which reminded me of Attack on Titan, was also a big turnoff. Regardless, I'm glad I finally decided to give it a chance after someone recommended it to me in the comment section of my redo of Hitler video. Although this show did get a few accolades back in 2019, I think this show was largely overlooked by many people, such as myself. I've seen some people call it underrated, but I don't think that that's an accurate assessment. Vinland Saga just doesn't have the same mainstream appeal that stuff like Attack on Titan, My Hero Academia, or Demon Slayer has. It's a shame that this show is stuck on Amazon's streaming service. This show should be everywhere: Hulu, Funimation, Crunchyroll, and Netflix. I think that if it was available on more services, then more people would have watched it by now. Anyway, Vinland Saga takes place during the Viking era, around 1013 AD to be exact, and is a dramatization of historical events. Basically, the Danish invasion of England serves as the backdrop. The story is centered on the rise of King Canute the Great, referred to as King Canute in the show, as well as a revenge plot involving Dorfin, the son of a Viking commander named Dors. Dorfin wants revenge against a mercenary named Askeladd for killing his father, known as Dors the Troll. The revenge plot is set up very well, and Dorfin is handled so much better, in my opinion, than Eren from Attack on Titan. It really helps. It really helps that within the first few episodes, we get to know Dors and his family. Dors is such a great, well thought out character, and his death early on in the series is very impactful. You'll empathize with Dorfin very quickly and want to see him get his revenge on Askeladd. Speaking of Askeladd, he's an excellent antagonist and is a really likable character, or at least in my opinion, I really liked him. I thought that his personality just really shined. Like he's smart, so he's smart, he's cunning, and he really knows how to manipulate people, especially Dorfin, who ends up following him early on. This show has a lot of memorable characters, many of which, such as the battle obsessed Dorkel or Dorfin's father Dors, exhibit abnormal strength in battle, and the battle scenes in the show are top. Man, the battle scenes in the show are top notch. Studio Wit has Studio Wit has done a phenomenal job when it comes to the animation on this show and some of the environments. The animation is quick, fluid. It's perfect, man. It's perfect. The camera work is really good also. The camera work is good, and I really like when they change perspective in the middle of a battle scene. There's one cool first person fight scene that I'm not gonna spoil for y'all, and then there's a few instances where it goes in third person almost. Like they really go crazy with the camera. They're not afraid to like really just go all out with it. The scenes are brutal and violent and just full of gore. Arms, legs, limbs, fingers, and heads just being cut clean off, and it's a really brutal show when it comes to the combat. Vinland Saga's fights are well choreographed, and I like that the duels between characters aren't just decided by who is the strongest. There is some level of strategy and skill that Dorfin and Askeladd had to have in order to prevail in these duels that happen. And there's quite a few bit of duels in the show. Beyond the action, though, this show is surprisingly deeper than I expected a series about Vikings to be. Vinland Saga explores faith from both the Viking and Christian perspectives and the idea of a utopia or paradise. The Viking lifestyle and their belief in Valhalla, a place where only true warriors can go after dying in battle, is something that is touched on a lot. Now, I need to say this as a disclaimer: I'm no history expert, but I think that this show does a good job at depicting how savage the Vikings were, as we constantly see Askeladd and his men pillage and wipe out entire villages. Like they're completely merciless, man. And I like that the show does take the time. Like there'll be some times where they'll just focus on just characters in the village before we actually get to see them get murdered and wiped out and all their stuff gets stolen. Because it really helps you kind of be a bit more sympathetic to the people that are getting wiped out and everything like that. But it's also worth mentioning it's also worth noting how authentic this show depicts the Viking warrior code with Thorfinn, as he could have taken out. There's many times he could have taken out Askeladd in his sleep at any time, but he doesn't because it would be dishonorable and cowardly. That's something that like a game like Assassin's Creed Valhalla, with Vikings being assassins. They weren't assassins. That was dishonorable to Vikings. Like they would straight up fight. They would straight up fight because they were worried about going to Valhalla. That was one of their things. But the one possible issue I could see someone having with the series is pacing. So here's the thing. Things tend to slow down sometimes since there's a lot of walking from point A to point B, and there's a lot of dialogue heavy scenes. Thankfully, the dialogue in the show is superb, and there are a lot of good character quotes. There are also there are also quite a few humorous moments that provide a nice breather from all the action. The last thing I absolutely have to touch on is the music. The soundtrack in this series is excellent. The opening and ending sequences are really good, especially the second ending with the song called Drown by Millet. The lyrics are perfect and the artist reminds me of Adele. That sequence, man, if you haven't seen it, go watch it. It's really good, and the song is good. The song is good itself. But yeah, so like overall, I would say that Vinland Saga is a really entertaining action adventure anime that does a really good job balancing its revenge plot with an exaggerated retelling of historical events. It's a well written and wonderfully animated show that unfortunately is slowed down by the constant repetition of watching the characters move from point A to point B, and is very dialogue heavy. Regardless, I would recommend that you give this show a shot, even if you haven't seen it yet. I mean, especially if you haven't seen it yet. If you've seen Vinland Saga, let me know what you thought about it in the comment section below. Hit the like button, subscribe if you guys want to see more videos like this. And if you have an anime or manga that you would like to see me do a review on, or a topic that you would like for me to tackle, consider becoming a Patreon at patreon.com/fearnohate. Or you could donate via the PayPal link in the description. Whether you decide to donate or not, thank you for watching this video. I'll see you guys next time. This has been Fear No Hate. I'm out of here. Peace.